Well, good morning, and I have another 5 good things from our friends at CNN. Number one is called What a Wonderful World. Some very heartening news out of the World Happiness Report. And the subtitle is The World is Kinder Than We Might Expect. This year's check-in on world well-being. Let me adjust this just a little tiny bit here. A little bit more up. How's that? There we go. This year's check-in on world well-being, conducted by Gallup, the University of Oxford, in the United Nations, found that 70%, 7 out of 10 people did at least one kind thing in the last month based on well-being data taken from over 140 countries. That's a pretty high number of people, report authors said, and something to be proud of. If that surprises you, you're not alone. We often expect our society to be less benevolent than it is, the report found. That's not to say that there aren't systematic society ills and issues we're far from overcoming, of course. It's the people that are still constantly surprised by the kindness of others in the face of these issues we can improve our own well-being and encourage others to change their perceptions of how kind our world really is. We need each other more than we might think. Doing kind deeds for someone is also shown to make both parties happier, whether it's returning a stranger's wallet, donating time or money to charitable causes, or, as I wrote about last week, purchasing and then paying off your neighbor's debts. There are endless ways to care for people. Acts of good change the way we see the world, which could change the way the world really is. As the report tells us, for the better for everyone. And don't doubt the power of this. When you take time to engage in an act of unselfish kindness to another person, especially when it's anonymous and no one's looking, it fills you with a sense of warmness and well-being, and it can be really intoxicating. Number two, a fishy redemptive arc. Justice is served for the world's ugliest animals. That's pretty funny. The blobfish, that frowny flat-nosed fish that resembles a melting pool of jello with a face, has been named New Zealand's Fish of the Year, a major reversal of fate for the creature famous for its unattractiveness. Perhaps we've been too harsh on old blobber. It's not meant to look as downtrodden as gooey as it does in most photos and memes. They dwell in the deep sea where their fleshy bodies protect them from high pressure, which in turn molds their blobby bodies into something less amorphous. When they're caught and taken on land, they start to lose their shape and melt into a puddle of fish. So they're only in their natural habitat. They look just fine. We take them out of where they belong and they lose their shape and they become ugly. So we create that. In honor of New Zealand's top swimmer is meant to shed new light on the plight of the blobfish, a vulnerable species, and endear it to kiwis. Now the blobfish can be re-examined as a one-of-a-kind wonder it is. He's been bullied his whole life, and we thought, stuff this. It's time for blobfish to have his moment in the sun, said the New Zealand radio station that advocated for the blobfish, and what a glorious moment that it is. And number three, 2 wheels and a wanderlust. Li Dongju wasn't built for relaxing in rocking chairs. Li, a grandmother from Zhengzhou, China, is far happier seeing the world on 2 wheels. Now 66 years old, very close to my age, Li has visited 12 countries across 4 continents entirely by bike. For many years, Li was accompanied by her little dog, Z, who'd run alongside her as she pedaled. Now she primarily travels solo, relying on translation apps, odd jobs, and budget camping areas to take in the sights. A nomad after my own heart. She travels light, tries to immerse herself in each country. She's gone above and beyond in that regard. On one trip to Australia, wow! She alerted local police about a potential wildfire outbreak and prevented a major disaster. Li's trips are certainly not luxurious. Seeing the world from a bike has afforded Li priceless freedom. She says, her words, "Before cycling, I was heavily dependent on others. I felt like a frog in a well," she told CNN. "Now I'm a wild wolf, free, fearless, and independent. Nomad." Number 4, communicating with compassion. In a pivotal episode of season 48 of Survivor, we all know about Survivor reality series, host Jeff Probst ceded the floor to contestant Mitch Guerrera. Probst asked Guerrero, who speaks with a stutter, whether he'd prefer his castmates to step in to help with him to finish his thought or wait for Guerrero to finish speaking, stutters and all. Here's his answer. "The hope is that everyone would just kind of hang in there for me and give me the opportunity to finish my sentence," Guerrero said as the rest of Survivor cast nodded in understanding. Guerrero, an elementary school PE teacher from Texas, said that Probst in Survivor giving him space to discuss his stutter was incredibly meaningful, especially since he's been watching the show for 20 years and auditioning for it for 10 years. Giving audiences insights on how to support people with stutter without infantizing them or talking over them was instructive too, and in a moment relatively new for reality TV. But mostly, Guerrero said, he's just excited for his students with speech impediments to watch him compete, speak confidently, and win over fans. "If Coach G can go and stutter in front of millions of people, then I should be able to openly speak too." And number 5, a very late library book comes home. If New Jersey's Ocean County library system still fined for late returns, Mary Cooper would have had to fork over $18,000 for the very late book she found in her home. But Cooper wasn't even alive when it was first checked out. During the move, Cooper found a box of unfamiliar family artifacts. Among them was a very dusty book, Homemade Toys for Girls and Boys, along with her grandfather's name. He checked it out to make presents for his children in March of 1926, 99 years ago. Cooper didn't know her grandfather, who died the year after the book was checked out, but reading through it, the 1911 book made her feel closer to him. One of the illustrations of a boat in the book matched the toy she found in her mother's belongings earlier, and had donated it to a local historical society. For the book library centennial anniversary, the book will be displayed behind glass at Cooper's local branch of the library, a tribute to her grandfather and the solace so many have found in the library's books over the last 100 years. I figured it belongs to the library. Very nice. Very good. Very nice. You want to read these in details and look at the pictures, I will have the link in the description and you can check it out. Take care.